What's going on, Raptors fans? I'm back. The Raptors have made a trade. Jakob Poeltl is back on the team. We traded Kem Birch, a first-round pick, in 2 seconds to San Antonio to make the deal happen. Now, this is a deal with pros and cons, but it definitely helps you understand the vision of the front office a little bit better, and I'm here to talk everything through. But before I begin, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, help the algorithm find out what channels and what content should be getting spread to other people. If you like this content, you want to help this channel grow, just interact with it any way possible. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all of that. It helps a lot. But on to Jakob Poeltl. So Jakob Poeltl is a player that we distinctly don't have in terms of established talent, right? I hypothesized earlier in the offseason that Christian Koloko, the draft pick of Christian Koloko, is a clear sign that we want to play with a drop defender on the team, so a center that plays drop coverage effectively. But the only players that you could say we had who could do that reliably, not even reliably, but just could do that consistently, were Kem Birch and Christian Koloko. Kem Birch, not a player that has contributed much to the team recently. He hasn't really been a major contributor since the Tampa season. And Christian Koloko, a really unpolished talent who gets in foul trouble a lot and clearly needs at least a season of development to get stronger, to get better at finishing. The players that we had in that role that the Raptors made clear they wanted through drafting Christian Koloko, we didn't have players we could rely on. So what is Jakob Poeltl? Jakob Poeltl is that kind of player that we can rely on to play NBA minutes night in, night out, and realistically be a starter on the team. Jakob Poeltl was a starter for the Spurs consistently since he got traded to San Antonio. He's a drop defender. He's somebody who typically averaged around 1.7 blocks on the Spurs. He's only averaging 1.2 this year. But yeah, he's a player that he's not the Vision 6'9" center some people may have hypothesized we'd get, like a switchable, rangy, mobile athlete. He's not that. He's 7'1", strong, a player that is going to consistently be playing drop coverage. So we finally have that guy in the rotation figured out. I think the other main thing that we've achieved here is bypassing free agency for the center position. Clearly, this is something we needed. If you've watched the Raptors this year, you know we need a center. And if we left that to chance in free agency, there's no guarantee we'd even get a center. If you look at the Raptors salary cap situation that I unpacked in a prior video, go check out the long-term salary cap assessment that I put out a couple of days ago if you haven't seen it already. In that video, I made clear that we're nowhere close to having cap space in the offseason in a way that's constructive for the team and we benefit from. So if we were to get a center in the offseason, realistically, that would be through trade like this, or it would be through the mid-level exception. Now, if you look at the mid-level exception and our history with it, you see guys like Aaron Baines, Otto Porter Jr., guys who, in one case, Aaron Baines, he just wasn't somebody that was helpful for us, right? Otto Porter Jr., you could say injury luck has been bad, but even if he panned out, Otto Porter Jr. is a quality bench player. He's not a starter. So to say that we would get a quality starter for the mid-level exception in free agency is highly unlikely. So knowing that the only way to get established talent in this position would be the trade market, this was something that was inevitable, whether it's in the offseason or right now, and the Raptors chose to do it right now. Now, Jakob Poeltl is a player whose contract is expiring. His contract runs out this June. He's going to have to be paid, and I think something that we did to help facilitate that for us is getting the Spurs to take on Kem Birch. Kem Birch makes $6 million guaranteed next year. For a player that's not contributing to your rotation at all, that's a lot of money. For a player that's not even necessarily at this point to be guaranteed, he's not guaranteed to be an NBA talent. If he was a free agent, I don't know if he would catch on. So for that guy to be making $6 million, that's just weight on your salary cap that's not needed. And if you have to pay a guy like Jakob Poeltl, with that $6 million being off the books, you can look at it like $6 million goes towards paying Jakob Poeltl. He'll probably cost around 18. So you know you're going to be taking on $12 million more next year to upgrade from Birch to Jakob Poeltl, which is definitely a worthwhile investment. So the compensation being 1 first and 2 seconds for Jakob Poeltl, I think is a little bit misguided. At least one of the seconds, maybe even both, I think are being sent to San Antonio specifically to take on Kem Birch's salary, the $6 million guaranteed next year. And you could say the first round pick is for Jakob Poeltl. I think that makes sense. But yeah, it could be the first and the second are for Jakob Poeltl, and the other second is for taking on Kem Birch. But basically, that's a part of what we've achieved here. We could have traded Thad Young to San Antonio for Jakob Poeltl and have the salaries match. Thad Young has no money guaranteed next year, or I think he has $1 million guaranteed next year, which would have definitely required us to pay less draft compensation to San Antonio. But obviously, we'd have more money on the books next year. It'd put us just closer to the luxury tax. It would make it harder for us to spend in free agency next year. So we've managed to get Jakob Poeltl and dump some salary. So that's really good. I think those are the positives of the deal. We got a player that we needed. We secured it, not chancing things to free agency in the mid-level exception. As far as the negatives go, Jakob Poeltl is a player that's having a down year, from what I understand. I'm not going to sit here and act like I watch Spurs basketball night in, night out. But from my understanding, he's not having the best year. His blocks, like I mentioned earlier, his blocks have gone down from 1.7 per season usually to 1.2. Just the game last night against the Spurs, he did not look good. You look at him as a rim protector, but a lot of Raptors were going right to the basket and succeeding against him. So he wasn't particularly doing his job. Now, you could say he's an established player who knows he's out because he has an expiring deal. He's not going to sign there. He knows he's probably getting traded. He's in a tanking team. You could say that this is a situation where a player just might not feel motivated or fulfilled by what they do. It wouldn't be the first time that that's happened, and you could see him re-energized completely once he joins the Raptors. But that's something you have to see, because I'll tell you one thing: that first round pick better not get us back that performance that I saw last night from Jakob Poeltl, because that would be an awful trade. So there's that. There's the fact that he's 28, so he's not a young player. This is not about acquiring talent that lines up with Scotty Barnes, Precious Achiuwa, Koloko, Gary Trent. It's not about lining talent up with that timeline. Those guys are young. Those guys are between 21 and 23. It's not about that, clearly. So it's interesting. I think bigger than pros and cons, there's a clear vision that's been established. The idea that we were going to blow this team up for draft picks and go young, that is gone. That idea is gone. You do not trade for Jakob Poeltl, then blow a team up. We are either retooling, and by retooling I mean trading a couple pieces for pieces that instead of trading OG for a bunch of picks, we might look to trade OG for a player and a pick, a player that's different from OG that could help us look different. Same with Fred VanVleet, same with Gary Trent, those guys that are on the trade block. I don't think we're going to be looking for exclusively draft picks. We're probably going to be looking for talent. And even if we do trade for draft picks, I wouldn't be surprised if we then flip the draft picks this offseason for talent that could help us look different now. Because realistically, right, we know that this Raptors team is way too talented to be playing like they are right now. This is not a team that's in the 10th seed fighting for a play-in spot off talent, right? There's enough ability for us to be a 4 seed or a 5 seed. The talent just isn't meshing. The talent meshing together and meshing with the coaching staff, meshing with the scheme, things just aren't working out together. So it's feasible that if you shuffle a couple pieces, you get a team that's more cohesive, a team that fits together. Things could look pretty different. So it's probably more likely that we're going in that direction. If not, we're looking to retool we're looking to build on this team. But you're not rebuilding completely and just tearing everything down from this point. We're either shuffling the deck a little bit, retooling, or we're building on top of this team, trading draft picks to add talent, to bolster the rotation right now and get better in the short term. One of those two things has to be happening, because it's not a rebuild at this point. So we have a vision. We know a little bit what to expect at the trade deadline right now. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what happens. They say the price for OG is through the roof because of the Kevin Durant trade. So we'll see what happens at the deadline. I'll be here. I'm going to look to make a video as soon as the trade deadline is over or as soon as a Raptors trade happens. So be on the lookout for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys around. Quick side note. I realized I forgot to bring this up in the video. Jakob Poeltl fitting alongside our players from an offensive standpoint. A little bit suspect as a fit. A player that can't shoot free throws, a player that can really only finish around the rim offensively, putting him on a team that already doesn't have the greatest spacing and has guys that want to get to the basket, suspect fit. I'll expand on that later. I'll do a bigger trade video at the end. I just wanted to throw that in there because I entirely forgot to bring that up. That's the end of the video this time for real. I'll catch you guys around this time for sure. If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts in the comments, and find me on all socials at Toronto Hoop Talk.